10 steps for good survey designs. The right survey design can become the determining factor in the success of your projects. To achieve it in the best way possible, we have created basically the 10 steps designed to survey properly. The first, the most important part of the survey process is to create questions that accurately measure respondents' opinion and behavior. Response rates will be wasted if the information gathered is based on biased question. So gathering good feedback involves both writing good questions and using a good survey design to organize those questions well. How can we do that? First, identify what you want to cover in a survey. Even before you finalize the survey design, it is vital to think about the objective of deploying a survey. Identify what you want to cover in a study and make sure the topic is clear at once. Once there is a clarity obtained on what the survey will be about, other steps will follow. Split your core objective into multiple unique points. The brief should answer some basic questions. What kind of demographic detail do you want to capture? Do you want to calculate net promoter score? Will it be a micro or a macro survey? How many questions do you want to have? What type of questions should be open-ended? Do you want to add a variable to personalize surveys of respondents? So effective online survey will have distinct blocks designed to guide the respondent through the process. Here is what the common survey blocks will look like. There it will be introduction that sets the respondent's expectations may also be covered in the survey invite. Then the survey duration. Give respondents a realistic time estimate and remind them their opinion are secure and it does matter. Screeners. Question designed to ensure the respondent meets your criteria. Typical screeners include demographic, that is age, gender, region, level of responsibility or purchasability, product service usage, or brand or a company awareness. Screeners are useful for establishing quotas. Then the body, the bulk of the survey questions on usage, attitudes, awareness, concepts, testing, competitive perception, etc. Again, demographics plays a very important role here, where question used for profiling or segmenting the respondents. Now, no need to repeat any demographic used as screeners. Now, the final thought is close with an open-ended question, asking for any additional ideas. Redirects could be a simple thank you page, a redirect to your website, or back to the panel provider. Next vital step, put the essential question now. Now that you have your core objectives brief ready, it's time for you to convert these core points to a real survey questions. It is rather easy to start deviating from the core objectives and boundaries once it starts creating the survey on questionnaire. Give the amount of freedom and choices that the platform that you choose provides. However, it is essential to stick to what you had already decided unless you know that objectives need some alteration to make your survey better. Next, keep it short and straightforward. Respondents may get irritated and less likely to complete the survey if a topic is not precise and tend to bounce back and forth. Therefore, follow a logical order in placing the question and stick to a specific topic. If the survey is too lengthy, respondents might not stay interested in filing out the entire study. and survey's result might get compromised. Hence, keep it short and straightforward. Next, ask one question at a time. Branching questions or asking more than one question at a time can confuse respondents and they might not be able to choose the correct option or options from the list of answer options provided. Therefore, it is advisable to ask one question at a time to give clarity to respondents. Another advantage of using logic in your surveys is making them more user friendly by simplifying the answer in most cases because the mechanism to make a survey is make it more systematic and helpful for a respondent to answer and make it shorter. Avoid using jargons. For respondents to respond to the survey, avoid using jargons and too many technical terms. Using a language that is easily understood by respondents will help them understand and respond to surveys better. Language is extremely important while designing a survey. The idea must be to make it as simple as possible for the respondent to answer your survey. The more complicated it becomes, the more likely it is that respondents will leave their survey incomplete. Open-ended questions or a closed-ended questions. Just think this in your mind. Hence, we are doing this research topic for a longer time and it gives you a deeper understanding also. So just I will definitely clear that, but keep in your mind which kind of question you will be drafting. So it is always the tricky part, whether to ask open-ended questions or a closed-ended questions. The trick here is balance out both these options. Try and include descriptive and objective questions to balance the survey. Again, question types should be carefully stored as it defines the tone and importance of asking a question in the first place. Spend time to design your survey. When preparing for an initial client meeting, make sure you prepare questions regarding the nature of the problem, including their gut feelings as well as asking for any relevant information about their business operation in which you might not already know. Market research or research in general does not thrive if it is kept in a vacuum. Therefore, researchers need to be proactive in communications with internal and external clients. Management is likely only to see the result of a problem, such as decline in sales or downtrend in customer satisfaction ratings. The cause of these problems, example, a shift in market preferences can also be identified when we look below the surface. Here, the researcher's job is to query clients to understand what is known, a decline in sales, and to identify possible causes of the problem that we quantify via research efforts. A survey needs to create brand awareness with respondents. For this, the survey creator can use the brand language. That could be a logo, a brand color, a brand tagline, so the respondents can correlate with it. You can also personalize your research studies for your respondents using customer variables. It is useful for capturing responses in earlier questions from your target audience and use them to create automated form fills that personalize the following questions. For example, obtaining the respondent's key demographic at the beginning of the survey allows you to set questions that use this data and personalize the survey. Analyze the responses. Now, once you have sent out the survey, collect all the responses and maintain a document or an Excel sheet for the collected responses. This will later help you or should have all mention classifications of survey to have all the data in place. You need to make sure you follow these steps and categorize data into behavior, psychographics, and demographics. Any researcher needs to have organized data so that analyzing, predicting outcomes, and writing reports become very easy. Put a summary report together. After collecting responses and analyzing it, share your analysis with your customer using a summary report. You should have all the data gathered from surveys in a particular format by this stage. The readers should get a clear picture of your goal. That is, what were you trying to attain from the survey? Make sure you cover questions such as, do users use a particular product or service? Which product do the user prefer? Any comment? Lastly, conclude your plan of action. Prepare your final action plan based on your goal, responses, put together and conclude. Mend your final plan and start executing the changes. A survey creator may direct a pre-testing of the survey to a focus group. During the development process, to better understand how respondents in that group may respond, pre-testing is a good practice as a survey creator can comprehend in the initial stage if there are any changes required in the survey. This is how you are able to conclude your entire plan, and then these steps will be help you design the good survey. Apart from these steps, there are also certain things that you should keep in mind for a good survey design is formatting consideration. That could be list versus drop downs. So question involving categories, both single or multiple select, can be presented either as a visible list or via the drop down menu. If your survey page is getting crowded, then consider drop downs. The key is to be consistent in your use and not mix formatting types on the same page. Branded versus blind now. Surveys are communications just like websites or emails and should use your accepted brand standards. So, competitive intelligence research is an exception. In this use case, avoid colors and logos that could sway respondents in the favor of your brand. Number of questions per page that you put in. So, it comes down to scrolling versus clicking. Keep the number of questions per page to a reasonable number, between 1 and 4. Some survey designers prefer the single question per page, but you can move beyond that with the drop downs. However, always keep an eye out for a visual clutter. Most importantly, for a presentable survey design, fonts plays a very vital role here. Fonts that can be viewed clearly across multiple devices. Typically, sans serif fonts such as Arial or Helvetica works best in such cases. Then comes the spacing. Hygiene matters when you conduct a survey that should be appealing for the respondents to respond. So leverage visual space in survey designs to reduce the cognitive load faced by the respondent. You can accomplish those in several ways, where you can limit the number of questions per page, text that leverage section headings with shifting between survey blocks. It provides a visual cue that nature of the question is changing. So descriptive writing is called when the process requires the respondent to have a deep focus, such as considering product scenarios. Keep these as brief as possible. So this I've spoken about more of a visual appearance so that respondents respond to your question, at least looking at the hygiene that you have used. But there are certain tips for writing great question for survey design. Basically, as I always mention, that writing great question is an art that, like all arts, require a significant amount of work, practice, and help from others. Avoid loaded or leading words or questions. Slight wording changes can produce significant difference in results. So could, should, might all sound almost the same, but may provide a 20% difference in agreement to a question. For example, the Supreme Court could might have forced the breakup of Microsoft Corporation. So strong words that represent control or action, such as prohibit, produce similar results. Do you believe that Congress should prohibit insurance companies from raising rates? Just understand how the question has been placed. So sometimes wording is just biased. You wouldn't want to go to do that initially and get the biased opinions. Even the misplaced questions can lose the interest of the respondents. The question placed out of order or out of context should be avoided. In general, a funnel approach is advised. Broad and general questions at the beginning of the questionnaire as a warm up, then more specific, followed by more general, easy to answer questions like demographic. All these will be able you to do a proper research study and hence design the questions which are non-exhaustive listing. So do you have all the options covered? If you are unsure, conduct a pretest using the other. Please specify the option. Then revise the question, making sure that you cover at least 90% of your respondents' answer. Then unbalanced listing. One study used a quantify scale that made the heavy drinker appear in the middle of the scale. The polar ends reflected no consumption and an impossible amount to consume. However, we expect all hospitals to offer proper care and may use a scale of excellent, very good, good, fair. We do not expect poor care. So draft your question accordingly. Questions on future intentions can also be placed. Forecasts are rarely accurate for more than a few weeks, or in some cases, months ahead. Avoid asking questions that will require participants to overthink because they would not want to involve in that question or indulge in that question thoroughly to answer.